Hi, this is Billy Tarasio from Modern Law, and today we're going to talk about follow-up campaigns and other things that you may have built or philosophies you may have subscribed to that were awesome several years ago but really aren't anymore. If you're a firm like mine and you've been around a while, then it's likely you've done certain things and you've heard certain things that have impacted the way you do business. For instance, it used to be that content was king, and that meant volume. It meant we were supposed to write as much as we possibly could, and we were supposed to add blogs or articles at a certain point every single month, 5, 10 a month. And volume, and as much as we possibly could get, was the way to go. And over time, there's been different rules of thumb about how many words we should have be in our content, or which keywords we should use when writing our content. And that you may have even paid people to create content for your website in order to build your Google brand. Well, that is just no longer best practices. Best practices with regards to websites are just crucial, because even though referrals are our best source of business, and I think that we should be spending a lot of time developing our referral network, Google reflects the quality of our reputation and largely measures the quality of our reputation. So it is our job to make sure that our Google presence is up to speed. And there's several ways that you can do this now. Your best practices now are site speed, mobile optimization. Okay, you have to be mobily optimized and you have to load quickly, both on desktop and on mobile. AMP pages, AMP. This has been around for several years, so if you're not AMP optimized, you need to do it, and you need to do it now. It doesn't take that much time, and there's a lot of different ways you can do it. So reach out to us if you have questions, or contact your web developers. The other thing I want you to think about is voice search. We're at an interesting point with voice search. Most of the time, people who are searching for things on voice are saying, give me directions to blah, 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 or where is the nearest blah, blah, blah. They're not saying, get me the best information about a divorce attorney. They might say, find me the best divorce attorney. That's possible. That's a possible voice search term. But we need to be thinking about voice search, because with things like Alexa and Siri and voice getting more and more common, many people think that that's going to be the future of search. So what do we do about that? We need to start drafting content, maybe something like this in videos where you're speaking, because people speak differently than they write. So that's one of the reasons you might consider doing videos. It's also a good idea to have some conversational articles. Start thinking about the way that you've written your content in the past and maybe write it differently. Which brings me to another thing I want to talk about today, which is email campaigns. If you don't have follow-up email campaigns for prospects that are contacting your firm, you're missing out on an opportunity. And I would highly encourage you to write some content, some follow-up content. But a lot of the content that I've written, and it's been so much. I mean, probably, well, when my daughter was born and I wasn't taking cases, I spent time writing a ton of content. So much content that I turned it into the Decode Your Divorce book and wrote it all over the website. And this was back in the time when as much content as you could possibly get, the best article on X, Y, or Z was the way to go. And so it's not a mistake that I did that, but that is no longer how I'm producing content for my website. During that time, though, I wrote follow-up campaigns that were extensive for current clients and prospective clients. Emails that would be, 50, 60, 100 emails in a campaign. And I'm redoing them. And I'm redoing them with a different philosophy this time. I'm redoing them, and we're doing this for some other modern law practice clients, where we've got a 10 series video follow-up and email follow-up for prospects, people who have scheduled with your law firm or thinking about scheduling with your law firm. And that's going to be super practical information. Things like, where's my office? How do I get here? Where do I park? What do I expect when I come in? How do I prepare for a consultation? How does my attorney work? What is the firm's superpower? It's very generic information. And we recorded another law firm this last weekend on his videos. And these are not legal advice. They're not information. But before a prospect ever comes in and meets with you, they're going to have information about what it's like to work with your firm. And my latest philosophy that I'm going to try out, and I'll let you know how it goes, is that having 100 emails secrets probably isn't as powerful as having a good 10 email sequence and then regular real-time content. Because what we wrote 5 years ago or 3 years ago or 2 years ago will never be as relevant as what we have to write today about things that are going on in our lives. And the best content that people connect with is current, and it can't really be written by somebody else. So one of the things that we're doing is, yes, we're making email campaigns for our clients for those prospect follow-ups, and then we're also helping write newsletters. And those newsletters are things like getting to know the different attorneys at the firm, getting to know the different events going on, ways to simply engage your contacts, both your referral sources and your prospective clients, so that they can know more about you authentically and they can think about you and they can refer you more business, because that's what we all want. So this email covered a lot of different things, but the basic point that I wanted to convey today is fads change, best practices change, and we have to constantly invest in our businesses and knowing the new best practices and the new techniques to stay abreast of changes and to keep clients and prospective clients and referral sources engaged. And that needs to be our overall goal when it comes to campaigns, when it comes to web presence. All of that is about engaging your referral sources and your existing clients and building a brand and reputation that's consistent and that continues to grow with your firm. If you have questions, let me know.